If something is worth doing, it's worth doing poorly first. Would you agree with that statement? Well, whether you do or don't, I'm going to talk about it because I feel like that statement has impacted my life in a pretty big way. I first heard about it when I was a teenager reading a book by Joel Salatin. It was like a farming book, and it stuck with me because I felt like he made really good argument for it that I tended to agree with. When we're trying something out, it's best to just kind of do a simple, quick, easy, cheap prototype, like just enough to get by, instead of the alternative of like, we have an amazing idea, let's dump millions of dollars into R&D and come up with the perfect solution. Well, guess what happens in those situations? You build what you feel like is the perfect solution, which tends to need modifying later on. Or you know what? You might build it and decide, you know, actually, I feel like this is a colossal failure, and you end up having to scrap it. Sometimes we have a good idea that we think is great, and then it just doesn't work out like we thought it would. That's not a problem. It happens. So, better off to do something poorly first and then improve it if it needs to be improved. You might just need to scrap it, then you're not invested too heavily. I've got an example of this. I built a plywood rack for my truck. This is version 3. At first, I just put a 2x4 across there, and I literally used a ratchet strap on that side and like a rope on this side to tie it there. And then I put the plywood on top of that, and it rested on the top of my toolbox. Then I'm like, well, I don't like this because if I've got plywood, I can't open my toolbox. I could still get to the rest of my stuff. So then I put these pieces of wood on and strapped them to the front, and I screwed them there, but this was still strapped. That was version 2. Version 3 is what you see now. I painted it, I bolted it, and got rid of the straps. And now modification number 3 is about to happen because the more I use it, the more I like it. But then I came up with a few ideas to make it even better than it is. But I wasn't very heavily invested in it. It was just a 2x4 and some straps. Could have thrown it away at any time, but now I feel like I'm onto something, you know? The other guys saw it and they're like, hey, I want one of those on my truck. So, the start of something good, and it just started out with an idea I had, and just implement it, try something. If it doesn't work, no big deal. If it does, great. Then you can modify it and go from there. So just some encouragement to you guys. If you're thinking about trying something out and you have an idea, go for it and don't worry about it being perfect in the beginning. You have all the time in the world to perfect it and build on it if you try it out and it's actually a good idea. There's another quote that done is better than perfection. I kind of like saying done is perfection. you could view it that way, because if it's not done, then like, what are you even doing, right? But let's see what this new ladder rack looks like in a minute. All right, version 2.0 or 3.0 or whatever this is. So the 2x4s are upright and more rigid. I've got a cage for them up front so the wind doesn't catch them and blow. And I got some pieces on the side to keep them from sliding side to side. So I can load that baby up, throw a strap over it, just to keep them from sliding out the back is all. So I'm real happy. What do you think? You want one of these on your truck? Plywood rack?